Alrighty, once we're done. So at any point during this, if you have got audio, feel free just to holler at us and say, hey, I've got a question, or can you cover that again, guys? No problem at all. Kind of just pausing and making sure that we're covering our ground here. You also can using the chat feature, I think. Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Using the chat feature, just type in questions, and we should get a little notification about that. If you don't have audio set up, if you're just watching through your computer and don't have audio, so feel free to do either thing. So we'll just start hopping into this and see what happens here. Okay, so Montana Campus Compact is 17 colleges and universities across the state. Image below has got our current membership. So these are affiliate institutions of the Montana Campus Compact and the National Campus Compact organization as well. We refer to it as a network. So if we kind of use that jargon, and we're probably talking about all of these colleges and universities that are part of the compact in Montana. Our website is mtcompact.org. This compact, unlike compact cars, refers to an agreement among, in our case, higher education CEOs that say, working together, we can really do a lot to provide benefits to our communities, link our students up with needs in our communities, connecting them with great experiences, and supporting community work, both through their studies and in extracurricular settings. A couple of our taglines are higher education in service to Montana and educating citizens, building communities. Nationally, there's a campus compact. It exists in all 50 states. There are over 1,100 colleges and universities nationwide. Currently, we have all of the Montana University System campuses are part of this. We have several tribal colleges, Little Bighorn, Blackfeet, and Fort Peck Community College, and private colleges in Rocky Mountain College, Carroll College, and UGF, as well as community colleges. So we're very proud of the work we do through higher ed and the partnership that our affiliate campuses, the partnerships they make with nonprofits, school districts, and municipalities across the state. And our office works hard to support that work. So one of the main tangible lines of business we have is an AmeriCorps VISTA program. And VISTA, 50 years ago, was started during the Johnson administration, right after the creation of the U.S. Peace Corps. And folks oftentimes think of them kind of in the same breath, Peace Corps and VISTA. VISTA is obviously the domestic kind of analog to the Peace Corps, where it's got an anti-poverty kind of community building focus, but it is very much about Americans serving our communities in this country. Call it a national service program. Just had a 50-year anniversary last year. Its focuses are doing anti-poverty work and capacity building work. Specifically, so we're an intermediary. Campus Compact, these 17 colleges that we talked about, host this program to address needs, obviously, in education. In addition to that, we support veteran services and work to support service members, veterans, and families. And we've had this, we've been granted this program for 16 years. So we have a long relationship and a strong one with the funder who believes firmly in the work of Campus Compact. Specifically, how it takes shape is that we place full year, full-time plus individuals with colleges and universities, with nonprofits and partnerships with colleges and universities, and with school districts across the state. So folks come to us and say, look, we're doing this work to address this college access need in our community, or this college success need that we've identified. We're working on a graduation initiative here. We've identified a food insecurity problem in our community or on our campus. And they request a VISTA who comes and helps kind of put together the tools and systems to create a, we hope, long-term program or initiative that addresses that problem. Check to see if we have any notes going here. I don't think so, not yet. Continuing, so our focus areas are college access and success, K-12 graduation and readiness, and veterans and military family support. The strategies we typically use are community partnership development, student volunteer mobilization, faculty and campus engagement, and community-based work study development. Those are some of them, certainly not an exhaustive list. In terms of our focus areas, obviously as an education organization and intermediary, we believe that pretty much anything can fall under the college access and success heading, you know, from nutrition and food insecurity needs identified for students and community members, down through, you know, tutoring centers, you know, better opportunities for students to engage with community. I think it's a pretty big umbrella under which lots and lots of more specific needs fall. So those focus areas have served us pretty well. Our typical response, if folks say, you know, does this work for what you all have that funding for? More often than not, I would say well over 90% of the time, the answer is, if not yes, then we can figure something out and make it work. Looks like we might have a question here. Okay, Lou Card asks, would marketing and recruitment efforts fall under the access and success focus? Good question. And the quick answer is yes, especially provided there is a focus on low income and first generation, or folks who perhaps are seeking to improve their financial status or their family's kind of financial well-being by seeking out additional education, post-secondary education, whether it's degree, credential, certificate programs. So absolutely. Keep moving along here. Did I already jump in over your?
No.
Okay, you tell me when it's your turn.
No. Okay.
So these are some of the activities that folks oftentimes say, look, we'd like a VISTA to help us do some of these things. Perhaps there's a clear need for some new work on an issue that's been identified at a campus or in a community with a nonprofit, and the VISTA comes in and does work that effectively builds new capacity. So really the focus with a VISTA placement is creating systems, tools, partnerships that leave an organization better off, better able to do its work. especially with regard to folks from low-income backgrounds. So some of those activities include needs assessment and research, really kind of understanding clearly what the specific needs in the community are prior to developing an intervention or a response. Stakeholder mobilization, so looking at, okay, here are all the folks that have some sort of a stake in this problem, and how do we kind of organize them into a cohesive group that can help us drive a positive change for the community. Systems development, so things like a toolkit for new volunteers with an organization, or job descriptions for college student volunteers with an organization. Those kinds of systems that can be used again and again to address a community need. Marketing and outreach, pretty straightforward. Saying, okay, we've got this great new program that we really think can help folks who are maybe significantly underemployed or unemployed in the community, but they're just not hearing about it. Bitterroot College has been a good one recently at really making use of VISTA volunteers to take what they've got and share the good word, and really kind of put it out there pretty aggressively with the community and let folks know, okay, this is right here in our town, make use of it. And really, so long as it does have that intentional focus on low-income people, that doesn't have to be the entirety of it. Certainly, we welcome all comers at our in higher education and typically in the nonprofit sector. But we do want some special attention to the fact that VISTA is an anti-poverty program, and the work should ultimately be targeting moving people out of poverty. Partnership development, looking at especially K-12 higher ed partnerships, and how early college or dual enrollment programs can create pipelines to higher ed and really address the college access gap that we see in the state. Grant writing and fund development. So once that kind of that needs assessment work has happened, and that organizational side of things has kind of been put into place to really determine, here's what we need to focus our energy on, here is what we want to do as a community in response to this problem. VISTAs then can help develop funding proposals and seek out dollars to support that work. Volunteer system creation and recruitment, campus community partnership development we've talked about, and evaluation and sustainability. Can't say enough about kind of understanding the impact of our interventions, and making sure that that this that the outcome of the VISTA project or the work that the partner has undertaken does have a positive impact, and that it is actually doing what it set out to. So VISTA can be tasked with gathering data, crunching numbers, kind of putting together a report, and working with stakeholders on how to better meet the needs of the public that you identify.
All right, so more of our host site benefits. If we have a member coming in from, it's 50 miles or more, we provide relocation for them. Our office provides a $5.50 settling in allowance, and then from the national level, they provide a per mile relocation, which is really nice for them. We do the payroll all from here at the university, from our office, and it's approximately $11,000 a year. What is it, 26 biweekly payments. And upon successful completion, they do get an education award, which is $57.31, and they have 7 years to use it, so they don't have to use it right away. or they can choose to get a cash stipend, which is $1,500. And we do training and support from our office. We do a couple of in-service trainings throughout the year, and we regularly check in with our members on a monthly basis. Do you want to add anything?
Just that, so the education award is a huge motivator. I think for folks that do this, it's close to $6,000 that people can use either to continue their education, go to graduate school, or to pay down their principal on student loan debt. So it's a pretty decent chunk of money. We have a special thing in Montana where many of our affiliate campuses match the AmeriCorps Education Award with, in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $2,000 annually, oftentimes awarded competitively. So as an incentive for VISTAs to not only stay in Montana, but to go to school and continue their educations in Montana. So the Compact Network does put some match money up for those education awards as well.
Yeah, that's familiar. So some instructions for application. So we just ask that you submit it in a Word format. This will be just easier for us to edit and send it off to the state office. And for your MOU and attachments, make sure they're signed. And we do need a hard copy as well. That's something new for us. And you can submit them to grants@mtcompact.org.
So the hard copy is of the memorandum of understanding only.
Yeah, not the application, just the MOU.
Yep. And should we go out and open up the application, do you think, for this? Or I think for the purpose of this, if you have specific questions or are kind of getting hung up on any portion of the application itself, please just give a call to either Lacey or me, and we'll walk through kind of, what questions have come up and what do we mean by certain things. We do our best to keep it as short as possible. So really it's focused on what's the need you're talking about, what are the main activities you want VISTA to help you with, and what qualifications are you looking for from an individual. So, it's not a whole lot of, it's not like your senior thesis or anything. We try to keep it short and sweet. We estimate the time at kind of putting it together at between 2 and 3 hours, I would think, grand total. It should be a very practical work plan as part of it. That's probably the largest portion of it. So it's not like a typical grant where you really have to get into the flowery language and talk about, your capacity as an organization or those sorts of things. We trust that if you've made it to this point, you figured out supervision for someone and a place for them to work, and that portion of it will be good. We really want attention dedicated more than anything to what the need is you're looking to address, and what are the activities and kind of goals and objectives that you'll be asking that VISTA to take on. So I don't think we need to open up the actual application right here, but like I say, if you do get hung up on any part of it, just call Lacey or me, and we'll walk you through it. So some tips in terms of creating an application that gets funded. We very much use this application and are in direct communication with our funder, and we need to essentially share each individual project with them to make sure that it aligns well with the intent of AmeriCorps VISTA funding, and that it does have a clear, meaning that it has a clear anti-poverty focus and does have a community capacity building component to it. So that those things go into the project description. including some statistics about the local needs driving your request. If you say, look, we've identified that there are, this number of adults that we want to reach out to and kind of actively market our, these programs. We're just looking for kind of the rationale, the why behind it. Obviously, I think campuses are very interested in enrollment. That's a huge reason for, that's kind of the business model in 2016, even for public education. But from a anti-poverty standpoint, that doesn't really resonate with the VISTA funder. So we need to go a step deeper than that and say, look, here are some specifics about what the gap in college access means, or what it means when we don't when students aren't successful, and what we're doing to address that. And be honest, we're not going to this is confidential information that you're putting to us, and we won't share it unless you tell us we can. So our having kind of that clear picture of the needs that you're looking to address and how specifically it relates to anti-poverty outcomes is incredibly helpful in this. So it doesn't have to be a huge kind of set of data, but something that really connects the work that you're proposing to a community need. And we're pretty good at locating data as well. So if that's the hang up, don't hesitate to let us know. The VISTA assignment description oftentimes gets called the VAD in the jargon. It's just the acronym for VAD for the assignment description. It's essentially the work plan for the year. And so that's the thing I think that probably is deserving of most of your attention. Really think about, okay, how do I translate what we need to have done into this thing? And really link it back to those needs that you've identified. And then in terms of the performance measures, we encourage you to really be realistic about what's possible in a single year. That's really not a ton of time in the grand scheme. And you may be at the phase of your work where you're like, look, we're going to be doing needs assessment, perhaps building a pilot, and we'll see what happens from there. Or you may be further along and you may want to say, look, we're really looking to kind of kick this thing out, recruit 25 volunteers, and benefit at least 200 community members. Be brutally honest with those. If you really aren't at a place where you're like, look, we're going to measure outcomes in maybe 5 years, and this is really kind of the groundwork, that's totally acceptable. And your performance measure should reflect that. And we recommend just picking 1 or 2 maximum performance measures. And then the position description really is a good spot to list kind of the, the education, the skills, the work history that you're looking for from an applicant. We may or may not be able to perfectly match all of those. More than likely, we won't be, but we'll do our best to find applicants that do have the skill set, or at least some of it, that you're looking for. So here are a couple of examples of performance measures. These come kind of prepackaged from DC. And we're required that each project that we place a VISTA with has selected at least 1 output and 1 outcome. So some of the examples, an example of an outcome are the number of organizations that experience an increase in requests for their program. So this is an example of new capacity being built. And an example of an output, a much shorter term kind of goal is to say, look, we want to have this number of volunteers that the VISTA recruits. That's what the page looks like. There's a pretty good list of all the pretty wide variety of outputs and outcomes. And if you hit a point where you're like, look, I think we have a pretty good anti-poverty need outlined, or a connection to this kind of marketing work or what have you that you're looking to have done, but you're not quite sure how that translates to outputs and outcomes, again, it's a good time to call us, and we can help kind of creatively figure out what the best way to get that done is. Still me?
Yeah, still you.
Okay. So campus community partnerships, key part of obviously the work that we do as a compact, and our VISTA programs kind of key focus, I think, is the idea that higher ed has just a huge potential to support great work in communities, and obviously is deeply invested in community work. As a part of our mission, we really look for ways to see college students linked with meaningful volunteer service. So some examples that we hold up as good ones: Girl Scouts of Montana and Wyoming, Missoula office had a VISTA project that put together a partnership with Greek Life at the University of Montana, and essentially UM students from sororities became recurring volunteers for Girl Scouts and worked closely with at least one troop, just really to kind of connect the service mission of Greek Life with some of the needs that Girl Scouts had, and it was really a neat thing. Kids Link in Bozeman put together a partnership, and a VISTA helped facilitate this with the Montana State College of Education, which led to just a huge pipeline of MSU students, soon to be student teachers, but before that phase in their education, volunteering in schools and really just kind of getting a sense of what K-12 life was like. So those are a couple of, I think more traditionally aged kind of college student volunteer possibilities, but we have a long history of these sorts of campus community partnerships, and really the sky is the limit in terms of what can be done. You could tell us, we work with Habitat for Humanity, and our construction trades department is really looking to kind of expand opportunities for our college students to get involved, and we need a VISTA to help us kind of come up with more opportunities to do this sort of work. All manner of things under the sun can fit under that campus community partnership goal. So obviously, volunteer opportunities for college students is a huge part of this. Good reciprocal kind of work can get done where community organizations receive, great college
Sorry,
students.
I'm on that call.
Receive great college student volunteers, and campuses get opportunities for citizenship development and real world experience and networking for their students, all of which kind of lead to student retention and a better student experience. So really, I think these are win-win intentional partnerships between higher ed and nonprofit K-12. Really are incredible things, and are a key part of what our VISTA project delivers on.
So some of our expectations of host sites, just to help with the local VISTA recruitment, and then to share any successes throughout the year with our office. We like to get the word out, and we've definitely had some national press from our VISTA projects. And then the process is we will do an initial intake interview with our applicants, and then we type up all their responses and pass it on to the host site. And then, so then you would interview your applicants as soon as possible. We highly recommend contacting them within 2 days, probably even that same day, and doing your own interview. It's highly competitive. The applicants are more than likely applying for more than just one position. Sometimes it's up to 3. So if you find someone you really like, you need to move fast to get them. And then, so moving on from there, just support your VISTA member once they're assigned to you. Communicating with them before if they're coming from across the country, communicating with them before they move to see if there's anything you could do to help them is always nice. Or even just to say hi, to them goes a long way. And we do have reporting requirements, which I think we're talking about later in the slides. So we'll talk about the reporting requirements. And then the host site participation fees, which is $62.50 for a campus partner or campus affiliate. And then an outside, like a nonprofit, would be $83.50. $83.50. And then, so then you have the opportunity to advance a campus community partnership, which is obviously what we love.
And so on the recruitment end of things, there are kind of 2 routes it can take. Lacey talked about the local recruitment, and this is a huge, huge potential out there. Probably 20 to 30% of our recruits annually come from in-state, whereas many we recruit from across the country who kind of relocate to serve as VISTAs. We place a huge importance on kind of making these VISTA service opportunities available to recent Montana graduates. I think just as folks coming out of Montana higher education, they should be kind of well in tune with where Montana communities kind of are at and have a good understanding. So as local higher ed institutions and local partners in this work, you really can kind of identify folks who, perhaps currently are serving as volunteers or that of who would be great at it. We invite all of that. If you say, here's this person, and I encourage them to apply, and ultimately, tell us this is the best, candidate for our job. We will support that 100%. So it's not all applicants from elsewhere that kind of are steered from our office, but many of them are directly from our local communities and kind of come up through the ranks, in many cases after graduating from our institutions.
So once our positions go live, it'll probably be me that'll emailing you to let you know. And then, so we recruit through my.americorps.gov, or our positions will be listed on our website. And that's when you can start doing that local recruitment. And as far as the nationwide recruitment, we'll be doing that. And so as I said before, we do the intake interview with the applicants. We have a rating system, so we can kind of streamline that process and send you the best applicants that we have. And you can do your second round interview and your own questions, whatever you want to ask them. And then you'll communicate with us and let us know if you want to offer the position to that person, and then we'll make the offer, and then we can start our paperwork process.
So that final hiring decision rests with local sites. You here on the call, if you end up as supervisors, would be the ones to ultimately select that candidate. We do manage kind of the offers centrally so that we kind of know where each applicant is at in the process, and everybody needs to formally apply via the AmeriCorps.gov application and have their application in that system in order to be a VISTA volunteer. But truly, if you determine like this person is the most qualified and I want to work with them, that's where the buck stops. So we will begin recruitment almost immediately after our March 21st application date. We hit it pretty hard in late March, April, and May, and send as many qualified applicants to each site as we are able to come up with. That probably ranges from 2 to 4 individuals when everything's going well. And we do really look for skills and experiences that line up with what you let us know your needs are. We recruit essentially through the end of May with a target start date of mid-July. We haven't gotten the dates yet from our state office, kind of the state VISTA office, but we expect smack in the middle of July. And after an orientation, both with a kind of all VISTA component and a campus compact component, they then begin their term of service with you on the following day. So if we wrap up with them on the 16th of July, their official first day, and in many cases this is a Saturday, would be the 17th. So VISTA service really is based on the idea that as a VISTA, you're on board full-time for a full year, meaning 365 days. Typically, that looks like a Monday through Friday and roughly 8 to 5 kind of setup. But if there really is something that comes up on a Saturday, there should be no resistance from a VISTA to help out with that. National service is, we're serious about the kind of national service side of this. So if there are needs that you've identified in work that happens on, odd times, that's a very common thing for a VISTA member.
So some reporting that we require from our members, we do monthly reports, which helps with reporting that our program manager has. And they will also submit a monthly work plan to their VISTA leader in our office. And at the end of the year, we ask that the host site supervisors would submit an end of term impact report, which is just a Word document, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and you can review that with the member before submitting it, but it has to be ultimately submitted by the host site supervisor.
So the deadline for applying is March 21st. This is our priority deadline and lets us really get ahead of recruitment responsibly. We typically take applications after this date. If you hear of folks who really could make use of a VISTA and they can't meet the date, encourage them to apply regardless. We typically can work with it, but our priority deadline is March 21st. So in just about 2 weeks. And if you're applying as a K-12 partner or a nonprofit applicant, we really encourage you, and as Campus Compact, we are those institutions that we listed there on the first page. So we need the signatures and kind of the clarity of who from a nearby college campus is going to be working with you on this. And you don't have to have everything lined out how that's going to take shape, but we do need commitment from someone that you will ultimately be working with in some capacity. We oftentimes see applications submitted from folks outside of our 17 campus network, and they assume that our office is that link. And Ours is a state office, and we really don't specifically do the work of any individual institution. So what we mean there is, Flathead Valley Community College and perhaps the Service Learning Office or the Office of Student Activities at Great Falls College. That degree of specificity or the name of an individual. And this is one of the spots where our office is more than happy to make referrals and connect folks who are from outside of the compact network with our folks on the who do work for colleges and universities across the state. So that wraps up the kind of formal portion of this. Definitely want to open it up to questions that you might have at this point and see if you can stump us. Anybody have a question? All right. Well, that's my direct line there, 406-243-5175. Our office number, the phone tree, is 243-5177, and you can get to Lacey from that. That's my email address. And if that's all, and if no one has any questions, we'll just wrap it up, and thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thanks a bunch.
Yeah. Take care.